This is Irontrader, and this is midday trading. So we'll take a look at some stocks here. First, I'll take a look here at Expedia, at Lilly, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Tesla. Okay, this video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy, sell any stock, not ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. All right, here we have Expedia. Now you can see here the sideways is just kind of, the chart is just kind of like a sideways kind of an action going on here. But again, there is always money to be made here. Now you can see we have this W pattern going here. See how nice this is? Up and down, and then right back up here again. So what we're watching so far today, we have the inside day. So you're watching today's high, 118.89. And then we want to come up to the top of this candle here at 119.26. And then your next level is going to be 119.71, which lines up very, very nicely with the 119.72 level. And then we're going to be looking here at the top of that candle at 121.69. Now, if we can break that, then we just bring the price channel right across. You're looking at 122.40. And then what we do is we come up right over top of this candle. We're looking at 125.63. Then we have a nice big retest up there at 129.15 level here. But this W pattern, usually those play out to be pretty good. But again, we have to close above that 121.69 for that to play out. Now, here on the downside, we want to watch yesterday's low. They're looking at 117.24. And then we're going to start getting into these simple moving averages. Okay, so we have that 116.25. There's your 8-day. Then we have 115.15. That's your pretty much your 21-day and your 200-day. And then we have your 114.77. And then we have your 100-day sitting right there at 113.67. Okay, but right now here, let's just see if that pattern will play out. Maybe we can take it higher. Now, you look at RSI, you're only looking at 55. That's got plenty of room to run to the upside. Your green is over your red, so it shows good momentum. And right now we have a nice series of higher lows going on right here, and it's looking very, very nice. The key is 119.71, but this is going to be the key out of the breakout is at 121.69 here. So be a little bit patient. Maybe we can take this bad boy higher. Okay, let's take a look here now at Eli Lilly. Here we have Eli Lilly, not getting any much love here today. Okay, so this was the last previous earnings. Came right on down. We had earnings here again. Came right on down. I guess the old COVID test, the government free money from government isn't there anymore. So she's coming off pretty hard. Okay, so what do we have now? What do we got here? So today's low, what we got is we had that 623.78 level. So what we're doing is we're right into this support level going on right here. But again, we could come all the way down to that 561 level very easy. But right now we're just holding this key level. We're looking at that 629.97. You have 625.87, and then we have all the way down here. We're looking at this 592. Now this is a gap. See where we had this gap? This is that's the gap fill, and then we look to the bottom of that candle at 598. There's your gap, and then we look for the gap fill at 592. Okay, so your gap, 598, and then your fill is 592 level. Okay, so that will be your target if it keeps right on running down. Then we can just follow the candles down, but we got a lot of levels where it can come on down. Now, when you look at this RSI, you can see here where we're getting here to an over a sold condition. We're not here yet, but we're coming all the way down here. The green is below your red. Right now, this is very, very ugly, ugly chart going on. Now, on the upside, well, what we have to do, we've got to get obviously above today's high. That's at 656. But this is what you're looking for is right there is going to be that 678.29. There's your gap. And then right below this is that 740.19. There's your fill. Okay, so your gap, your fill. We have that 8-day sitting right there. You're looking at 726. Your 21-day at 763. And then we have this 772 level. There's your 50-day. Your 100-day is 780, and then we have your 200-day above that before we can start getting back into the action. But you have a big gap, big fill situation. But you always want to watch always here to the left here too. This is going to be very, very critical. This will be your resistant levels. So you have a 677. Let's look at the bottom of the candles. Okay, you have a what do we have? You have 689 level. Then we come up here to the bottom of this candle. You're looking at a 709 level, and then we can just work yourself right on up here. You got 717. Before we get to this gap fill, okay? But again, this chart, I mean, if you're trading this, I would just stay away from this until this can get some kind of a, unless you're short, then you can, I think this looks like it just wants to go kind of a little bit lower here now, maybe even get that gap in that fill situation before we start, it can go higher. But again, with the drug companies and the way they have with the T-Man and Kennedy, I would say I think that this was a really good trade for me anyway, when Biden was in there, because they were just handing out money by the billions. But right now, it's not looking really that good. Okay, let's take a look here now at Goldman Sachs. Okay, here I have Goldman Sachs. Now, this is one of my favorite. I'm long this stock, and I also trade this stock. Same way with JP Morgan. Those are my two favorites. Now, what we're looking at here is we're looking at a downside. We're looking at that 722 level. That's going to be your 8-day. And then we have that 21-day. You're looking at 716. Okay, now, again, if we start losing that, we come down to the bottom of this candle at 701. And then we're looking for the retest there at that 691, which is basically this candle right there. Okay, so you're looking right there at that 691. And then we have that 50-day. Okay, that's at 678. Now, there is a gap right here, okay? I always want to point out those gaps, 653.24, and then here's your fill at 647, okay? Gap, your fill, and then you can work yourself down to the 100 or 200-day. But, again, as long as we hold this key 8-day and the 21-day, we're still looking pretty good. Even though we had this bottoming tail, you can see where it went, popped right back on. Very, very strong stock. Now, we want to look on the upside. We want to look to the top of that candle at that 726 flat, and then we want to go to the retest at 737. Now, we break above that, obviously 750, and you're going to work yourself all the way to 800, okay? Now, we had negative divergence on this. See how we have this high and a lower high, and we have a high and we have a higher high. Negative divergence going here, so just got to be a little bit careful. The green is below your red, so you got momentum there, to the downside. So just be a little bit careful. Unless we break above and close above that 737 level, then you can go balls out, and we'll take it right back up again. In the meantime, watch that 8-day and watch that 21-day. We lose that, we have the retest, and then we have that 50-day right there. Okay, let's take a look here now at JP Morgan. Okay, here we have JP Morgan. Okay, now remember, you got to be a little bit careful with these banks, okay? Because T-Man came out, he says that, they were really good to him, when he was president the first time, and then when he wasn't president, they gave him the snub. So, he's a guy that, will put on the revenge to you. So you got to be very, very careful with the banking system, okay? So just always remember that. Now, here on the upside, what we're watching is that 21-day, 292, and then we're watching that 292, the 8-day. So you're sitting right there. That's going to be very, very key. We get above it, we come to the top of this candle at 295, and then we can run, rush all the way back up to the top of this candle here at that 296 level, and then we have that 301. That's your breakout. You crack that, you head for that, 325, 350, 400 level. Now, again, with the negative divergence, see how we had a high, lower high, high, and higher high, negative divergence, and she's coming right on off here. So just be a little bit careful. So what we're watching on the downside is that 50-day. That's going to be very, very key. That's that 282 level, okay? Now, again, if we lose that, then we want to do is come to the top of this candle here, looking at that 269, and then we can come all the way down here to the 264 and possibly your 200-day. But watch that 50-day, because that's usually going to be a catch-all. Once you lose that 21-day, that 50-day should be able to catch it, at least on the first try, if it comes all the way on down. On the upside, just watch that key level, that 929, the 21-day, and that 8-day. We crack above it, then we can do the retest at 301, and then we have to see what the reaction is if it does get up in that area, okay? So just be a little bit leery here of the banks. Okay, let's take a look here now at Bank of America. Okay, here we have Bank of America. Now, again, this isn't one of my favorite. Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan are, but again, this is also a decent very good trade off the bottom, okay, off that 33 low, got all the way up to the 49 level. Now, on the upside here, we got a lot of good big time resistance here, because you look how that 8-day crossed over 21-day and the 50-day. So that 4607 is going to be very, very strong resistance. If you can get above that, you got 4632. Then we have 4692, your 21-day. Now, there is a gap, okay, so you always want to watch that gap. 46.41 is the gap, and then we want to watch the bottom of that candle at that 47.19, your gap and your fill. Now, if we can get above all that, well, then we have a retest there of 49 and then 49.31. But again, very, very strong resistance with the 8 to 21-day and that crossing. That's never really good. Now, on the downside, we want to watch right there, that 44.75. We lose that, you got a 44.23, and then we have the 100-day here at 43.53. Okay, so just always watch that level. Now, next level is going to be right at the bottom of this candle, looking at 42.35. There's your gap, and then we'll look to the top of that candle at 41.98. Okay, so your gap and then your fill, kind of a situation. Now, Again, we got to see how it all shakes out here because you have good support at the 200-day and your 100 SMA, but you got big time resistance with the 8 to 50 and the 21-day. Now, there was no divergence on this here, but it came down. We didn't get really to oversold and have a little bit of pop-up kind of a situation. The green is still below your red, shows you got momentum down. Anytime you have this gap situation going down, that's never really what you want to see. Now, with the earnings, see how nice the earnings was? It came and popped right on up. Another earnings up here, and it came and popped right on up very, very nicely. But then again, when the news come out, where the T-Man, is coming out with all this, with the regulation and all this kind of stuff, you got to be very, very careful of the banks. Okay. Let's take a look here now at Tesla. Okay, here we have Tesla. Now, this is one of my favorite trading stocks, okay? Now, I'm not really a big believer in the company itself. I think it's like a flim-flam, man. I've said that over and over. But again, it's just one of these really good trading stocks, okay? That's the thing. It's like a meme stock. Everybody wants to get in because he's selling dreams. He's saying, okay, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing this. Well, yeah, eventually he does it. It just, takes a little time before he can actually get to that situation, okay? So right now here, what we're looking for is right there is that price channel, 338. Very, very simple, okay? We get above that 338, then we're going to come bring the price channel right across, and what do we have? You got 357. That's going to be your next big target, and then we have up here, we have this 367. That's going to be your next target, okay? Very, very simple. Now, there's a gap all the way up here. If it keeps right on running, 394, and then your fill at 401. Gap, fill, and then you can take the top of that candle at 419. We come up here, 439. On top of that, 465, and then 488. But we have to get and close above that 438. Now, right now, we have a descending chart here, okay? High, lower high, lower high, and lower high, okay? That's what we have right now. But again, if we break above that 438, that would reverse that trend, and then we start hitting all these marks right there. Now, again, this is a good trader. I use TSLA, the long, and then you can do TSLS for the short, which is a beautiful short all the way on down. That was just a beautiful short. Now, we have this sideways action, but on the downside, we have, look at all this support going on right here, okay? So what we're looking at is that 324 level. Then we have the 21-day, you're sitting at 318. Then we have your 8-day sitting at 315. Everything is right there until we get all the way down here to that 100-day at 300, and then we have that retest at 297. Now, there is also, if you lose that, we have 281, and then we have all the way down here at 273. Now, there is a gap all the way down here that I pointed out before, 244, and then we have your fill at 242, okay? So gap in your fill, but right now, this is looking very good, and we're above all the simple moving averages. Okay, that's the beauty of this stock, okay? I know a lot of times I'm a little bit hard on it because, it's just like when the Cybertruck came out, you're talking about 2017 and 18, and then it didn't come out till like 3-4 years or 4 or 5 years later, and it's really not ready. Now, they held production. He's going to be making the production there in 26, but he has this AI, so he has a lot more than just that one thing. So it's not really just a car company. You have the AI, he's got the solar, he's got this, he's got that, and the self-driving could be a very, very big thing going forward. The key is we got to see how that all plays out. But again, it's like a time consideration. Now that he's getting out of the politics a little bit and he's focusing back on the company, this could be actually a lot better trade now. But for me, this has always been a great trade because it's been always very, very wild. You get a lot of movement. Okay, so today you're up over nine points so far. Okay, so that's a really good trade, all the way from 320 all the way to 335. It got okay. So I already got my 10 points, so I'm out of the trade. Now what I'm waiting for is right there at that 338. So for me, this is a pure trader. I don't own this long. I don't hold this long. All I do is just trade this, okay? And it's been a really, really good trader. So always remember that anything can happen. If you get a correction, this can come down just as well too, okay? Now remember, his earnings are declining. His revenue is declining, okay? So everything is declining. And remember, these tariffs, not the tariffs, but these subsidies are going to end September 30th. There's no subsidies. That $7,500 is gone. Okay, so just remember that. Is it going to affect these car companies? I think it'll affect GM, Ford, and Chrysler. There's no question about that because they're selling. I don't know what the hell that crap that they're selling. Okay, but Tesla is like the prime of it all. So you probably may not get that much of a turn. But look at Rivian. Oh my God. What a disaster that company is. And now they had their earnings and now they lowered all their guidance. So, just be careful. For me, trading stock, this is a really, really good one. If you want to be a trader, this is it. Okay, That's what I got for you, and I'll be back here after pit close. We'll take a look here at Bitcoin, at gold, silver, crude oil, natural gas, and we'll take a look at the indexes, which are ripping up here pretty nicely. And NVIDIA is moving up nice. TQQ is moving up nice. Apple is still on a nice, good run. Netflix is on a good run. Google's on a good run. So there's a lot of really good trading situations. Okay, trade what's in front of you, not what you want.